International Trade Focus is brought to you by GOIL and Agricultural Development Bank.
Coming up on International Trade Focus,
we shall bring you excerpts of the seminar on export trading companies. And later, the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce has organized an art exhibition and English tea party member networking event. Right, so if the past 2.5 years have taught us anything as a continent, it's the fact that the need to be self-reliant cannot be overemphasized. The pitfalls of the COVID-19 pandemic, the looming climate change catastrophe, the harsh impact of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, and the general global economic crisis make a strong trade collaboration among African countries crucial now more than ever. One exciting news is the speed and dedication to which member states under the AFCFTA are fast-tracking policies and action plans that seek to make trading under the AFCFTA successful. Now, just a few weeks ago, a national AFCFTA policy framework and action plan for boosting Ghana's trade with Africa was launched. And now the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, has selected Ghana as part of a continental initiative to facilitate the emergence and expansion of export trading companies, ETCs, in Africa, with the aim to promote intra-African trade under the AFCFTA, boost extra-African trade, and accelerate industrialization. The ETCs are further expected to play a vital role in providing market intelligence and supporting small and medium enterprises, smallholder farmers, informal cross-border traders, and large corporations to participate in international trade. Now, this seminar also seeks to answer a very important question: does Ghana need export trading companies at this crucial time? We'll be bringing you excerpts of the seminar on export trading companies organized by the Afreximbank in collaboration with the Ministry of Trade and Industry on this week's edition of International Trade Focus. International Trade Focus is brought to you by GOIL, Good Energy, ADB, Truly Agric, and more, Public Elegance, and Pediasi Valley Resort. My name is Anna Steele. This episode promises to be educative. Don't go away.
Here's innovation from GOIL that takes you further. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect, and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and GOIL has innovated to stay ahead with expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. GOIL. Good energy.
Are you an importer or exporter? Do you need quick financing at the best rate on the market? ADB has good news for you. Walk into any agricultural development bank location nationwide for that solution to all your trade financing needs. ADB offers you pre-financing of exports and imports, post-shipment credit facilities, bank guarantees, the issuance and acceptance of letters of credit, documentary bills for collection, outward documentary collection. Enjoy free advisory services from our well-trained, dedicated trade officers. Exporters of agricultural products are encouraged to take advantage of this great service. For further enquiries, call us on 0302 210 210. ADB, making trade finance easy. ADB, Truly Agric, and more.
Breathtaking picturesque views, the essence of tranquility recrafted. What's your desire? A romantic expedition, syndicate sessions, banquet and conferences, or a discreet weekend getaway? Just name it. It is exclusively packaged for you at Pediasi Valley Resort. Every spacious rooms, ultra-modern gym facilities, games, indoors, terrace and lawn restaurants and lounges, cozy private dining, and all the swimmer's paradise. Aquaba, any day, all year round to Pediasi Valley Resort. the art of serenity skillfully served.
Are you a broadcast journalist with a business journalism background? Do you have excellent writing, speaking, and research skills? Then, here's your chance to join the International Trade Focus team. Forward your CV and other supporting documents to tfiltdgh@gmail.com. Call 059-311-2702 for further enquiries. A warm welcome back. We bring you excerpts of the seminar on export trading companies. But first, here's a little background to the seminar. Inter-African trade is currently low at around 15% of total African export. Africa's combined GDP of $3.4 trillion remains largely untapped by Africans. It's against this backdrop that the Afri-Exim Bank, as part of its drive to boost intra and even extra-African trade, has developed a comprehensive export trading company strategy to facilitate the emergence and development of ETCs in Africa and put in place support measures to achieve the goal. The excerpt of the seminar, which we'll be bringing to you, will throw more light on the export trading company strategy. Take a look.
In the coming weeks, the dream of our forebears will be off the ground, and historic as the moment may be, its only beneficiaries will be those member states who have done the groundwork: policy, finance, institutional framework, productive capacity, and infrastructure. Setting up export trading companies across Africa could not be at a better time. AFCFTA is about exports, and we must commend the bank for initiating a strategy to facilitate the setting up of these export trading companies. After the tariffs have been agreed and negotiations concluded, we will be measured perhaps solely by the volume and value of trading among ourselves. Trading goods and services from Harare in Bamako or Kigali, or exporting processed cocoa from Accra to the entire Northern African region should no longer be a nightmare if we make the appropriate investments into ETCs. ETCs will help us to leave no one behind in the regional value chain: SMEs, young entrepreneurs, startups, light manufacturers, and big industry. By providing export and import services, warehousing, transportation, finance, insurance, risk management, and market intelligence, they are the fulcrum around which the free trade area will thrive. Only half of 3,000 export companies in Ghana, for instance, engage in significant trading, with the other half finding respite in sporadic exports annually. This has to change. Why must 70% of our total non-traditional export revenues be generated by only a few companies? Our export expansion program is expected to assist an initial 200 private firms in enhancing their productive capacity for export in a competitive African market. Even better news is that majority of the identified companies are participating in this seminar. We are also implementing a national export development strategy with an ambitious target of increasing non-traditional export revenues to $25 billion United States dollars by 2029. We have identified 17 priority products for export under this strategy, ranging from automobiles and vehicles, industrial salt and starch, sugar and processed oil seeds, aluminium, iron and steel, and pharmaceutical products. 2 months ago, Ghana Export Promotion Authority announced a $3.3 billion United States dollars increase in non-traditional export earnings for 2021. And I look forward to tracking the further astronomical increases in these revenues after the setting up of ETCs in Ghana. 3 weeks ago, we launched the National Action Plan and Policy Framework for boosting Ghana's trade with Africa to expedite meaningful implementation. The plan will support the establishment of a special purpose vehicle to improve the production and marketing of goods and services under AFCFTA and provide alternative financing and intermediation between exporters and banks. It will also strengthen export finance institutions to deliver tailor-made services to support export under AFCFTA, while facilitating the establishment of a national version of the African Customer Due Diligence MANSA repository platform to register exporters. The number of SME trade finance applications rejected by banks increased sadly from 20% in 2013 to 40% in 2019, and we are determined to do everything we can to reverse this unacceptable cycle. The action plan is also expected to support the establishment of export trade houses across Africa. And the timing of this seminar here in Accra, what I understand is the third in the series after South Africa and Kenya, is indeed significant. The success of the African Continental Free Trade Area is of particular importance to our government in many ways. His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, sees the implementation and the participation of Ghanaian businesses as an essential element of government's vision of creating shared prosperity, advancing economic competitiveness, and strengthening our institutions. Government's pursuit of an aggressive industrial transformation agenda in the last 6 years has been at the core of this vision. The world economy today is on its knees. People everywhere are feeling the harsh effect of COVID, conflict, and climate. And we in Africa find ourselves on the wrong side of a catastrophe we had nothing to do with. Building self-reliant economies with the capacity to finance our development agenda is as inevitable today as it should have always been. We are home to 65% of the world's remaining arable land and 40% of the world's mineral reserves, yet our share of global trade remains at 3%. We cannot achieve inclusive economic growth without industrialization, and we must take advantage of initiatives such as this to build partnerships among our ranks for effective trading.
Why are export trading companies important? The bank actually did an analysis of why intra-African trade is very low, at around 15 to 18%. It has really never exceeded this threshold. And one of the reasons we actually discovered is the lack of access to market intelligence. Somebody here sitting in Accra has got shea butter, does not even know that somebody in Zambia needs that shea butter. In most cases, they always think that we need to send shea butter to London. But we have done an analysis which actually shows that one of the reasons why intra-African trade is not taking place to the desired level or to the levels in Europe of around 70% or Asia is largely because we do not know what each country is producing and what each other country needs. We don't trust each other. If I do not trust my counterpart here in Accra, I'm from Zimbabwe, we will not be able to trade. But fortunately for Ghana and Zimbabwe, we've got a very good relationship which goes way back. So that is a good foundation. So I would like to also see a lot of trade under the AFCFTA happening between Ghana and Zimbabwe. That's the study. So who is going to provide the market intelligence for you to know what Zimbabwe is producing, what Ghana is producing? We need to bring in this aspect of the export trading companies to do the market intelligence so that you connect the dots. So we also know that export trading companies will not only provide market intelligence, but they can also assist with the aggregation of goods that are produced by smallholder farmers, SMEs, informal cross-border traders, most of them who are women. We've seen them basically carrying goods, sometimes on their heads, on their backs. They cross the border with $100. They go and try to bring products to their country and sell. But with the export trading companies, you can actually get a group of all these women who are in the informal cross-border trade. You actually put them together and then the export trading company will go and buy on their behalf. They will buy in bulk. There will be economies of scale, efficiencies. They can handle all the challenges at the border. They can even deal with the finance challenges. Take the case of even smallholder farmers. They produce their products. And I know Ghana is working very hard on that. The Honorable Minister highlighted the 17 products that have been identified, the one district, one factory initiative that Ghana is working. So we know that Ghana is already ahead of the curve. We are basically saying that we are going to work with you to create a vehicle that is going to take those 17 products to the market here in Africa as well as abroad. We are going to work with you to support those smallholder farmers. When they produce their products, we aggregate, we tell them where are the best markets, where they can get the best money, the best value for their products. That's basically, in a nutshell, what the Export Trading Companies initiative is all about.
Number one is to understand an export trading company as a company that is primarily engaged in export of diverse products to more than one market. So we're looking at a company that, primarily engages in export trade, covering many products, and then having to export to more than one single market. So that's very important. Then they also provide additional services, which are also very important, particularly when you're talking about the SMEs that exhibit certain features, which we're going to share with you. They have to provide additional services, to these SMEs and other partners deal with. So these are necessary complements to what the export trading company does, because they have to work with SMEs. So they provide these logistics services as part and parcel of what they deliver. Then we need to see an export trading company as a strategic information gatherer. When we talk about strategic information gatherer, we're not talking about simple depository of bias. We're talking about information systematically researched and documented that looks into buyer needs and begin to emphasize how they can meet those buyer needs. Because they systematically understand the needs of the market, then they design products to meet the needs of the market. And then these products are produced and exported to those markets. To be able to, because they engage in diverse products and dealing in several markets, they cannot on their own produce all this. They need to engage SMEs in their supply and production chains. Okay, so they are product designer, to meet specific needs, which the strategic market information and research and information has thrown up. Concept 2. Now let's talk about the relationship with SME under concept 2. So we look at it as a leverage partner to choosing SME, choosing compatible SMEs, bringing at least 3 capacities usually lacking in the SMEs: capital and financing, inadequate most of the time. See that also. Good management practices and governance. Now, when export trading companies secure orders and they produce to meet those orders using their SMEs in their supply chain, what they are doing basically is intermediation, right? Now, of course, SMEs will also say, why can't we directly export ourselves? So we'll tell you what is the strategic response of successful ETC to that risk of disintermediation. So, and that is why ETC have to ensure that SMEs that don't have the capacity to compete internationally, most successful export community then take make that strategic move and acquire some of those SMEs so that they will become their subsidiaries, and then they will guard against the risk of disintermediation. That's also very important. And then, by setup, they are highly leveraged institutions, and that calls for some special arrangement for financing. Special arrangement for financing, but that's what we have seen where they are successful. But lastly, we must then understand that there are long-term instruments of trade promotion. We should know that this intervention tool is a marathon, not a sprint. So we should not expect immediate impact or immediate results. But something that is successful, begin to see the win also early. But not that we're going to have so much short-term expectation about them. So concept 3. So here we're going to talk about the fact that Gemo spoke about ETC as aggregator. Yes, I would say that would be an adaptation in the African context because of the special nature of our production. When we have so many small-scale producers, particularly of commodities, agriculture, and so on. Yes, in the initial life of ETC in Africa, we should see them as providing aggregation. But typically, ETCs, particularly if they have to be seen as assisting us to correct the structural problems we have in Africa, they should not be seen primarily as aggregators of commodities. And then also, they're not an export management company, which tend to be agents, and that focus is narrow. That focus, you forget what they have to do to support SMEs. And then we engage in the import. When eventually ETC, as you will see, then decide to also engage in direct production of export themselves, they may need to import, And then they could also carry out third country operations, And ETC established in Nigeria as the origin could decide to have an operation in Nigeria where the factors of production are more competitive and available, and export from Nigeria to Cameroon, for example, or export from Nigeria to Benin. So they could engage in third country operations.
Right, if you just tuned in, you're watching International Trade Focus. There's more on the Export Trading Company Seminar after this break. Stay tuned. Are you a broadcast journalist with a business journalism background? Do you have excellent writing, speaking, and research skills? Then, here's your chance to join the International Trade Focus team. Forward your CV and other supporting documents to tfiltdgh@gmail.com. Call 059-311-2702 for further enquiries.
Breathtaking picturesque views, the essence of tranquility recrafted. What's your desire? A romantic expedition, syndicate sessions, banquets and conferences, or a discreet weekend getaway? Just name it. It is exclusively packaged for you at Peduasi Valley Resort. Every spacious rooms, ultra-modern gym facilities, games, indoors, terrace and lawn restaurants and lounges, cozy private dining, and all. The swimmer's paradise. Aquaba, any day, all year round to Peduasi Valley Resort. The acts of serenity, skillfully served.
Here's innovation from GOIL that takes you further. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and GOIL has innovated to stay ahead with expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. GOIL. Good energy.
if you just tuned in, we're watching International Trade Figures. Now, on this week's edition of International Trade Figures, we bring in you excerpts of the seminar on the Export Trading Company's strategy.
One major reason why we need to have the ETC initiative is to have a strong export to drive our growth and also promote diversity. And then secondly, there's a need for us to put in place strong institutions for export and trade services. ETC or ETCs will be one of such institutional arrangements to ensure that this is done. Now let's look at the highlights of features and structure of African trade in the world. How much are we doing? Where the Americas are doing 20, Europe 39, Asia 37, Africa is doing just 3%. This is definitely low, and this is not what we want to keep. And that is one of the reasons why we are doing what we are doing today, even as we have done in 5 countries before now. And I think we also should be glad that in the pillar, in the plan and strategic pillar of AfrExim, this is one of their primary focus to promote not just intra-African trade, but also extra-African trade, to boost the volume, to diversify the structure, to move more towards industrialized products as opposed to the primary commodities that have engaged our attention thus far. Growth rate of the African export volume has been lagging behind imports. In other words, most of us in Africa have been recording trade deficits year after year. Imports exceeding exports. And then, of course, we have the challenge of market concentration. When a country has a challenge of high market concentration, the vulnerability is high. Any little shift in one market will put that country or that economy in serious challenge, in serious trouble. And then, of course, our heavy dependence on primary commodities. Primary commodities mean, exporting primary commodities mean exporting jobs, exporting employment, exporting our sacrificing income that should have accrued to us if we have exported processed products as opposed to exporting primary products. And then, of course, the low participation of African economies in the global value chains. And most of our participations are at the bottom end, at the trigger and initial end, the primary entry point of our participation. And we know we have what it takes across the continent to be able to move, go higher on the value chain. So, in graphical terms, just to paint the picture of how we are doing in intra-African trade, you see a graph that we just drawn up. You see that it's literally flat, with the peak of intra-African trade at 21% in 2015, but with an average of 15% up to 2019. And then, of course, in 2020, intra-African trade was down to 16% because of the COVID interruptions. But total intra-African trade in 2020 was just $61 billion. And a 5% decline, this represents over the last 5 years. Now let's look at top intra-African exporters, country by country. South Africa leads, and this is 2020 data. South Africa leads at 32%, followed by Nigeria 10%, DRC 8%, Egypt 6%, Zimbabwe 4%. And look at the main exports, predominantly primary commodities. And these are the kind of things that ETCs are consciously fashioned to redress or correct. That we move from exporting primary commodities to exporting industrialized products. We move from one or few countries to more countries, a diversified market. We also move from both products, from single or just minor product, a few products, to a large number of products. Now, who are the top intra-African importers? Also the same year, 2020, can you please move this slide? South Africa also leads at 12%, Botswana 8%, Namibia 8%, Zimbabwe 5%, Uganda 4%. Now you can see that this is a pointer to the area where we have higher concentration of intra-African trade. It's more in the east, it's more in the south than in the west. And so we see also mineral products, mostly oil top the trade. And then, of course, agricultural products are also not very prominent in our intra-African trade. So we're talking therefore about growing and diversifying export and trade. African GDP and trade levels are low. They must be triggered to move on the increase, on the lane of increase. We need to stimulate overall size of African trade. We need to facilitate this exporting, especially in the inter-trade direction. We need to expand export generally, especially those of manufacturers. And of course, we need to strengthen export supply chain.
Now, ETCs, among other things, are expected to play a vital role in providing market intelligence and supporting small and medium enterprises, smallholder farmers, informal cross-border traders, and large corporates to participate in international trade as part of efforts to boost intra- and extra-African trade.
The goal is to have a symbiotic relationship between the ETCs and the SMEs. Let's look at the SMEs as they are, particularly in Africa. The challenges of the SMEs, who are the dominant players in numerical terms across our countries, are the challenges of limited knowledge. SME operators are largely constrained by knowledge. They are constrained by information. And the information we are talking about, as Kyle once mentioned, goes beyond an information you find in the directory of exporters and importers. It's talking about information that talks about what the market requires, what are the quality specifications, what are the market entry conditions, what are the barriers to entry, how do you deal with them? Talking about detailed information. Most SMEs don't have them. They have no capacity to generate them. They have no resources to generate and process them. And then, of course, they have the challenge of capacity in terms of scale of operation. Because they operate on a very small scale, the higher transaction costs become an issue which constrain competitiveness in the market space. And as we must know, an SME producing here in Accra is in competition with his counterpart in India producing the same commodity. As long as both of them enter the same market, and one is cheaper than the other, and it's also better in quality, that SME producing in Africa is already at a disadvantage. So these are practical issues of capacity. Scale of operation means a low scale or a small scale of operation means a higher transaction cost or higher unit cost, and therefore a reduced ability to compete in the market space. And then, of course, SMEs, they have the challenge of corporate governance. Because of the arrangement, because of the way they are formed, usually they do not have effective capacity also to manage their affairs in a structured manner and on a sustainable basis. They have the challenge, they have some legal challenges they have to deal with, drawing up and responding and performing on contracts. A typical SME will work out of a contract if for some reasons along the line he will not be able to perform on the contract. Whereas in normal business, we know in normal business play, it is not expected that you sign a contract and you don't consider the contract as, you don't respect contract sanctity. So we know these are some of the problems that SMEs have. Of course, the huge challenge is that of finance, access to finance. Even if from our studies we have found that this is often exaggerated because Somebody who cannot make an effective demand for credit cannot complain of lack of access to credit. But we know that both in terms of making attempt to even apply and ask for effective credit, and also in terms of the capacity to meet the requirements of lenders or finance providers, we know that SMEs lack access to finance generally. So look at some of these problems that they have. If they're working in a relationship with an ETC, virtually all these challenges can be dealt with. And as you're going to see, they don't have all the knowledge themselves. If they're in a value chain with ETCs can provide the information. ETCs can strengthen because they're now doing more volume. They can help them deal with the challenge of scale. The challenge of corporate governance, of course, because they're now learning from an experienced operator who is on a higher plane. And then, of course, access to finance. The ETCs can themselves even finance the SMEs directly. And we see this happen in the agricultural sector where you have large players or large companies having farmers as outgrowers, therefore providing them resources to produce and deliver based on agreed contracts. So these are the kind of things that can also happen between an SME operator and a large enterprise. So we're expecting that ETCs will engage the SMEs in a supply chain relationship, and this will produce positive effects on the operation, such as an improvement in the export behavior. In the short run, this will be immediate. And then in the medium term, there will be growth, because now they'll be doing more business than they would have done ordinarily if they were not in a relationship with an ETC. And of course, there will be improved and sustainable productivity in the long run. Getting the SMEs to the ETC value chain will require that the following steps take place. Number one, the participating SMEs must themselves be corporate entities. They must have been registered and known as legal entities in their countries of operation. And then, of course, we expect that they will register with the SMEs that they are working with for purposes of product procurement, improvement in operations, market logistics, access to finance, and other business development services. All these benefits will accrue to an SME that is in relationship with an ETC. And then there will be the development by the SMEs of their plan. They must have their own strategy, informed by the relationship they have signed with an ETC. And under their strategy, they will have focus on improving their efficiency, of reducing their costs, and also enhancing the reputation of their products. And then, of course, there will be a subcontracting or an outsourcing arrangement between them and the SMEs, between the SMEs and the ETCs. In some cases, of course, the ETCs may also take equity interest, investment interest in the SMEs, so they will be part owners of the SMEs. But where the SMEs are operating as separate entities, they will have an arrangement, such as a contract of subcontracting or outsourcing with the SMEs. And then, of course, the benefits that ETCs earn by exporting. For example, if the ETCs enjoy some export incentives because of some performance-related activities, then we expect that ETCs will allow some of those benefits to trickle down to the SMEs that made the achievement possible in the first instance. What should be the major focus of the policy? The policy that will drive the ETC program. What should we be looking at? What should be the objectives? Number one, primary objective should be to promote them, to promote their emergence as a deliberate institutional arrangement to drive not just intra-African trade, but also extra-African trade. Because we are low on both counts. Low on intra, 15%, low on extra, 3%. So we're expecting that the goal should be to drive both. And then the policy will also identify the structure, organization, and operational models of successful ETCs, as we have done in this study, as Afreximbank has put to all of us through this seminar. What are the successful experiences? What can we adapt therefrom? So we expect that the policy should aim at identifying the structure and the organizational models that we are going to be using. And then we also stipulated the expansion and export of manufacturers, that we should move not completely away from primary commodity exports, but to deliberately, intentionally move towards value-added products, both within Africa and also outside Africa. And then, of course, articulating the local institutional arrangement in each country that will regulate and finance or regulate and enhance the emergence of the ETCs. We say two principal roles for this policy. Number one, facilitating the emergence, and then two, ensuring their sustainability and continuity, continuous existence. One of the challenges in Africa is that we start institutions, they don't last. So that's why we're talking about a legal framework to be the foundation upon which ETCs are laid. Sustainability is very, very important. And as Kade hinted us, the returns, the expected benefits of ETCs may not accrue immediately. And we should therefore not give up and say, because this thing did not happen in 1 year, 2 years, then we abolish it. No, we have to stick on because it is almost sure that the expected positive outcomes will materialize. Now, virtually all the ETCs that we have seen in Europe and Asia, as we have reviewed before, they emerge as a response to deliberate government action. Of course, in partnership with the private sector. Now, look at the world ranking. GDP, 73, number 73 in the world, per capita 146, total exports number 80, total imports number 83. This is the World Bank, these are OECD data. Now look at GDP distribution in 2021 by percentage. The service sector leading at 49%, the industrial sector following at 30%, and the agricultural sector following at 21%. Now, agriculture employs 45% of Ghanaian workforce, most of them small landholders. So if things have moved remarkably from here, you know better. But further down, top 5 exports and imports. Talking about external trade statistics now. Gold, 5.93. Top exports, gold, followed by crude petroleum, and then cocoa beans, cocoa paste. We are glad to see cocoa paste. And then coconuts, because talking about where we are talking about moving from primary to semi-processed and processed products. Coconut, Brazil nuts, and cashew, 0.36, others 2.41. Total 2020, 13.1 billion. Look at imports in excess of exports by almost $3 billion. I said Ghana remained largely undiversified, both in terms of markets and commodities. 3 commodities dominating: gold, cocoa, and petroleum, accounting for over 75% of total exports. If anything happens to any of these 3, you know what that means. It's true for you, it's true for us, Nigeria. If not worse, Nigeria. So, concentration of products and markets I'm going to show you also markets very shortly. Makes our economies highly vulnerable to vagaries and changes in the marketplace. Look at the value, look at the pie chart. And you see 45% gold. You see that this is not a sufficiently diversified basket. Now, top 5 exports and imports in services. Exports dominated by business services. Business travel follows. Transportation, personnel travel, construction services. Everything coming up to $10 million. On the other side, import side, look at the bottom line. Again, 13.5 billion imports against 10 billion exports. Also a deficit. So exports fall below imports, both in goods and services. So we are trying to build a case to justify the fact that there is a justification for ETC here. Merchandise trade. Ghana's merchandise trade competitiveness declined over the last decade. If there's any change, it's only 1 year. We don't have information. Market concentration. 5 markets dominating export direction. Switzerland, United Arab Emirates, China, India, Netherlands. 5 countries dominating. Number of exporting firms. There's a reduction in the number of exporting firms and their participation in the global value chain. And to enhance participation in global value chains, we are saying Ghana needs to strengthen its trade competitiveness, particularly the manufacturing sector. There's a need to promote inflow of foreign direct investment. There's a need to deepen regional integration efforts, especially the manufacturing sector. So look at the structure of support for Ghanaian exporters. It is a credit that the Ghanaian financial sector is relatively stable, comprised of the commercial banks, development finance institutions, the merchant banks, and non-bank financial institutions, and of securities, market, and insurance. Look at the schematic diagram, look at the diagram showing the structure. We are saying, look at the bottom, we are saying at the bottom, if what we are talking about materializes, we are expecting that what they provide currently for trade and export finance and letter of credit, part of it will go to support ETCs. And then we achieve a more robust export performance compared to what we have seen, which has shown. And what we showed for 2020 is also true for most of the years before. Exports consistently, or most of the time, consistently lagging behind imports. And so we see the Ministry of Trade as a structure, it supports structures. Ministry of Trade at the top, the Ghana Export Promotion Agency, a promoting authority dealing with trade facilitation, exporter registration, market information, SMEs. So we see there is a framework already in place supporting the export, but we are saying we need to go deeper by bringing in ETC at one level to ensure improved performance. Then, of course, the Ministry of Finance at the top of the fiscal operations. We have the Ghana Export-Import Bank directly benefiting from support from that ministry. And the Ghana Exim Bank is doing export development finance, pre and post shipment finance, cross-border investment, research and advisory. And of course, there are a few other government policies that we highlighted there. Now, where are we going? We are saying that the existing support for export is fairly stable in terms of financial services industry, but it's small. We are saying we need to go higher in this area. And we are saying that one of the windows or outlets for such improved flow will be the ETCs. Total banking assets 14.5 billion, that is relatively small compared to Kenya 50 billion, Nigeria $248 billion, South Africa $448 billion. Now the Central Bank, Bank of Ghana, focuses on monetary policies lead to no direct developmental functions. Now, Ghana Exim Bank and the Export Promotion Authority, the response for export promotion and export financing and support for SMEs. We are now saying a new window of support is ETCs that are going to be emerging. Look at the gaps we have observed in the export promotion programs for SMEs. They focus more on participation in trade fairs and trade shows, rather than meeting specific needs of SMEs to do better in the export space. When export promotion goes beyond, it's far cheaper and more demanding than participating in trade fairs. The few SMEs with international exposure, they don't have enough finance to operate at a level that will make them competitive in the international space. A majority have domestic focus because either of quality constraints in their products, marketing limitations, or an asymmetry in information, lack of experience. And a lot of people still see export as the residual of production over local consumption. So when you have finished local consumption, whatever remains, you can export. And we know that is not the way to drive export. And the central bank, then the National Export Development Strategy has set an aggressive export growth target of 26 billion in 2029. And the Honorable Minister spoke about this in his introductory charge. And this is similar to the third justification for ETC that Kaide spoke about. It can happen theoretically in a planned setting. So this will appear to be a direct, intentional policy action. So how do we get there? We are saying ETCs will come in as part of the institutional framework to make this target a reality. Of course, if ETCs are functioning properly, this is 2022, 7 years from now. It is not impossible that this target will actually be surpassed. So these are some of the things we are talking about, looking at the existing support for export in Ghana. So how do we conclude? In the light of this data review and what we have said, what then is the justification for ETCs in Ghana? Number one, the export currently is concentrated in terms of products and destinations. Diversifying and reducing vulnerability is a justification for ETC. SME support is inadequate to ensure that the SMEs maximize their export potentials. And so galvanizing whatever strength the SMEs have and improving on them to be part of an ETC framework was to ensure that the SMEs bring in more resources in terms of export performance and their foreign exchange earnings for the country. But this requires meeting their specific needs for market information, financing, product design, product quality improvement, risk management, and so on and so forth, which intentionally ETCs to which they are integrated can bring about. Then we said stronger trade decisions are obviously needed. So that's also one of the reasons why we feel export trading companies will be the complementary needs to achieve the National Export Development Strategy target. So, two clear justifications for ETCs in Ghana. One, the economy is right, and trading challenges are enormous, they need to be addressed. Two, the environment of crisis exists because import has consistently trailed.
And there you have it, the excerpts on the seminar on exports trading companies. There's more on international trade figures after this break. Don't go away.
Here's innovation from GOIL that takes you further. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and GOIL has innovated to stay ahead with expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. GOIL. Good energy.
The UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce, UKGCC, as part of its mandates to facilitate and promote bilateral trade between the UK and Ghana through networking, advocacy, and the provision of trade services, has organized an arts exhibition and English Garden Tea Party member networking event. Participants were treated to a selection of artworks by acclaimed Ghanaian artist Bolabi Artist. The aim of the art exhibition and English Tea Party was to provide UKGCC's key stakeholders the opportunity to network with its Executive Council members, key personalities from the British High Commission, Government of Ghana stakeholders, and media partners. Ajuba Chiama is the Executive Director of the UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce.
Today's event is an art exhibition featuring the Ghanaian artist Ebenezer Bolabi, and at the same time also an English Garden themed reception or tea party. This is one event in the calendar of activities of the UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce that's aimed at providing a platform for our member companies to network with their key stakeholders, amongst which includes the British High Commission, and that's why the British High Commissioner to Ghana, Mrs. Harriet Thompson, is hosting us in her garden today. We try to theme it such that it reflects the objective for the UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce. That's why we have a Ghanaian artist, but it's an English reception. And we like to encourage our member companies to network with each other. Today we have our key stakeholders from some of the state institutions in Ghana who are service providers to our member companies. And it gives them the chance to talk to each other, interact with each other in a very relaxed and informal manner, over drinks and food, and then also to discuss Ghanaian art and to celebrate a Ghanaian artist. So that's the purpose of tonight's event. This helps to promote further cordial relations between the UK and Ghana, because as you can see, we have a large number of Ghanaian business owners and also a few UK nationals who run multinational companies here in Ghana. And so this is but one way of enhancing UK-Ghana relations.
Also speaking at the event was the country director of Crown Agent, Kofi Anda. Crown Agent is one of the member companies under the UKGCC.
Of course, we received an invitation, Crown Agent, as a member of the UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce, received an invitation to attend this function, an art exhibition and garden party. And it's been great being here, quite exciting to be here. For Crown Agents, being a British company and being a member of the UK GCC, it's important for us, one, to show our support to the Chamber, but also events like this provide us with good networking opportunities with our partners in the British government, whether be it the High Commission, be it FCDO, whichever part of the British government. We work quite closely with them, so it's always good for us to engage with our partners. This provides us with an informal opportunity to engage with them. But beyond that, it also provides us with the opportunity to meet up with other members of the Chamber, provides us with the opportunity to build new relationships, network, seek business opportunities, whether for us or for other partners. And there's been quite a bit of business done whilst we've been here. So always an excellent opportunity. I think I wouldn't miss these invitations for the world. I always really enjoy being here.
Here's innovation from GOIL that takes you further. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and GOIL has innovated to stay ahead with expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. GOIL. Good energy.
Are you an importer or exporter? Do you need quick financing at the best rate on the market? ADB has good news for you. Walk into any agricultural development bank location nationwide for that solution to all your trade financing needs. ADB offers you pre-financing of exports and imports, post-shipment credit facilities, bank guarantees, the issuance and acceptance of letters of credit, documentary bills for collection, outward documentary collection. Enjoy free advisory services from our well-trained, dedicated trade officers. Exporters of agricultural products are encouraged to take advantage of this great service. For further enquiries, call us on 0302 210 210. ADB, making trade finance easy. ADB, truly agric and more.
And it's a wrap for this week's edition of International Trade Figures. Join us same time next week for some more on international trade-related activities here in Ghana and beyond. International Trade Figures is brought to you by GOIL Good Energy, ADB, truly agric and more, Public Elegance and Pediasy Valley Resort. My name is Anna Steele. Bye-bye.